All right, we are live. No countdown. I'm a few minutes late. It's been a wild day. If you haven't been paying attention, rates are down. The spring home buying season for 2024 has already arrived. We didn't wait for spring. It started in December. At least it feels a lot like it to me. I've got more buyer action than I've felt in quite a long time. And it's interesting to think about from a psychology perspective. End of 22, rates go from 6 to 7. The sky is falling. Real estate is over. Everybody pauses. Nobody wants to buy. Nobody wants to sell. The real estate market is frozen. Fast forward a year. It's October of 2023. Rates are 8%. And the market's slow, but not frozen. Rates come down to 7, and now they're hovering in the mid-6 range. And holy moly, you would have thought that, the government created homeowner stimulus for buying properties, because everybody that I've talked to over the last year is back. Those that press pause are back to rerun some scenarios. Those that were thinking about getting pre-approved, applications are complete. They're ready to roll. So when somebody comes a trolling in the comments and tells me, the guy who gets to see the data before the data is data, that buyer demand is not going to explode. Buyer demand is not going to push home prices in 2024. Buyer demand isn't that dependent on mortgage interest rates. I can kindly tell that person with my whole heart that, listen, pal, I'm living it, dude. Like, I'm alongside other mortgage professionals and real estate professionals that don't have to wait until that phone call or that email or that application becomes an offer and an in-contract deal and then a closing, and then Channel 3 writes an article or does a story about it in March and talks about the craziest January they've seen in a decade. I already know it because I'm living it, right? And so it's not a matter of I'm smart. It's not a matter of, I've got proprietary software that tells me what's going on. I just happen to be in the mortgage industry and happen to have a little bit of insight into how consumers are behaving in this environment where rates have come down rather significantly over the last few weeks. So, off my soapbox, exciting times for buyers, exciting times in real estate. And what I think I want to, I don't know if warn is the right word, but just prepare people for in 2024 is that if your hope is to wait until there's a time where houses are both cheaper from a price perspective and cheaper from an interest rate and monthly payment perspective, you've got, okay, my channel, I can say what I want. And this, I think it's entertaining, right? Somebody told me once that you can hope in one hand and poop in the other and see which one fills up first, right? So hoping for rates and home prices to go down so you can buy in one hand and go and doo-doo in the other hand, this one's going to fill up first, I promise. Rates coming down, home prices coming down, you being able to buy something at a discounted price and a discounted rate, that world just doesn't exist. And I hate to be the one to tell you that, but as interest rates come down, more demand comes into the market and it pushes prices up. At the very least, I don't want prices to go up. I'll say that. At the very least, it will keep prices stable. If rates stayed at 8% for a year, home prices would have 100% guarantee come down because demand would have stagnated and there would have been enough of an imbalance with more supply than there was people willing to buy at 8%. But the way it played out, interest rates have already come down to where demand outweighs supply. And when demand outweighs supply, well, you know what happens. Prices at the very least will stay stable. This year, whatever we got, 3 or 4 or 5% appreciation in a lot of markets. Interesting times are coming. So fire away with your questions. I have not taken 5 minutes to breathe today. Like, that's the kind of busy we're talking between mortgage applications, running scenarios, submitting loans. It's wild out here. And it's December. It's the week before Christmas. People are supposed to be shopping. People are supposed to be do not disturbing, sending me to voicemail. People are calling me. They want to talk. They want to see what that loan that they talked about getting 6 months ago looks like at that 6.62 FO. They like that action. So fire away with your questions. I'm going to be on here for 30 minutes. That's all I can handle today, but I love the questions. The good questions create good conversation. And earlier today, with my buddy Mike Zuber, my buddy Ty, and some people from the Hub and the One Rental Time community, we talked about how fast this real estate market moves. So the best thing you can do if you're an investor, if you're a real estate agent, if you're an active home buyer looking to buy or upgrade or whatever you're doing, is stay up to date with what's going on. If you would have asked me mid-October, what's going on with the real estate market, it is so vastly different. And I beg to say it's probably vastly different across the country. It's not just Sacramento. It's not just Long Beach. It's not just Austin, Texas, or Palm Beach, Florida, or Memphis, Tennessee. We're in a lot of markets. We're doing a couple billion a year at UMortgage. So I've got a feel for multiple markets, vastly different real estate environment. So ask the questions, stay up to date, do the work, understand your market. If you're an investor, understand your buy box. Because if you don't, and you're operating with yesterday's market in mind, yesterday's tips, tricks, and techniques, you're in trouble. All right, let's say hello to Mr. Josh Burdick. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you, brother. Let me know how I can help. Let me know if you've got any questions for me. As you can tell, I'm in quite the, upbeat mood. I'm excited, man. Helping people create life-changing opportunities through homeownership. It's fun, man. I like the action. I like the action. Don't tell my wife that I like it. She already knows though, right? Because I'm like, oh, I'm so busy. I'm bleeding out of my eyeballs. I can hardly see. I don't have time to get lunch. I just have to drink coffee and water and eat like romaine lettuce, just the long romaine lettuce. Just eat the whole thing for lunch. That's all I have time for. So I think that's a good diet hack. But secretly, I love it. Secretly, I love to be working this hard and going nonstop because it's a mission I'm passionate about. So good afternoon to you, Josh. Kevin Hawthorne, good evening. I know you're out there in Florida. I appreciate you and you continuing to be here week in and week out. Jose Larez. Quick question. I love questions. Keep firing away. Even if you catch this on replay, you can fire questions in the YouTube comments. I think I answered one today from last week's live. So I will continue to do my best. They pop into my email when there's a question on YouTube. And, I've answered 52,000 so far. I'll continue to answer as many as I can. Hello, my friend. Question. If I buy a house as a primary residence, how long do I have to live in the property to buy again primary? Great question, Jose. Very common question. So I'm glad you asked it because a lot of people want to know. Generally speaking, the verbiage in loan documents says you intend to occupy this property for at least 12 months. Now, in practice, and quite honestly, the way it shakes out, things change. You might move to Sacramento because you've got a job and you buy a house in North Highlands, and then you live there for 8 or 9 months and you realize, you know what? As nice of a place as North Highlands is, I won't say anything bad about North Highlands. Maybe it's not the neighborhood that you particularly want to stay in. Do you want to have your kids go to school in? So you meet some friends at church or at Little League or whatever, and you start checking out other neighborhoods. You're like, you know what? I'm going to buy in Fair Oaks. If you bought in Fair Oaks 9 months later, nobody's coming to your house to arrest you and throw you in jail for not staying in that primary residence for 12 months. But when you bought it, that was your intention, is you're going to use it as your primary residence and you're going to stay there for 12 months. You know, if you really think about it, if your intentions are good and you're not trying to commit mortgage fraud, you're going to be fine. If you buy one house and then 3 months later, you're like, oh, I want this other school district, I'm going to buy this house and then put 5% down here. And then 4 months after that, you want to buy this house and 3% down here. That's where you get yourself into trouble. But if you're doing it on the up and up and you're truly moving on in under 12 months, you'll be fine. Pros, cons. Thanks for joining, man. And yeah, it's heartbreaking. There's no sign of the crash, bros, man. They said that home prices were crashing. Quite honestly, I don't know if it's just me that I don't engage with those videos a lot, but like I haven't seen them. Where is Reventure Capital? I'm curious now. I'm going to check him out, man. Is he still making videos? Are we still crashing? Is everything coming, or is there has to be, right? Literally. If you go to Google and type in 2014 housing crash, 2015 housing crash, 2016 housing crash, 2017 housing crash, 2018 housing crash, you can find stuff from every year. And some people are brave enough to be the same people saying it every year. Not going to mention any names, but Diana Olick from CNBC, I don't know who hurt her, but she's been bearish on housing forever. Literally, someone should do this. Great idea. Maybe my buddy Logan Madashami or somebody will do this. Create a piece of content that is a remix of her talking about the housing crash of 2014 and then 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. You'll have 10 years of housing crash talk from her. And then maybe there's some overlay of home prices between 2014 and 2023 that probably shows 100% appreciation in most markets. So sorry, Diana, you got it wrong, but I mean, kudos to you. Kudos to you for keep on keeping on. 1 year, we might see a 10% drop. You might hit something if you keep trying hard enough. Thanks for joining Pros Cons. Jeanette Santiago, USDA loans, do you offer them? Yes, I offer them. And for anybody curious, USDA loans are loans made in rural areas. Let me see if I can find USDA map. If you go and type in USDA map on Google, it will take you to eligibility.sc.egov.usda.gov. I'm going to accept something, and then I'm going to type in 4527 South Main Street. Let me see if it has like anything that just Concord, California. It's not a real address. Basically, you type in an address and it will give you whether it's eligible to go USDA. USDA has got to be in a rural area, so it's got to be in the right area. The pros are you can do 100% financing. So there's 0% down financing available. They're pretty strict on their debt to income ratios, but it's like other government loans, just a matter of your income versus your debt plus the mortgage payment. If the debt to income ratio works, you qualify. And so if you're in an area where these loans are available, you're good. It looks like if I zoom in, it kind of tells me where I can get these. Property eligibility, previously eligible areas. This is kind of cool. I could bring this up, I guess, if you guys really want to see it. I'll show you what I'm looking at since you brought it up. Window, this one. This again, I'll put this link, copy and paste here, since Jeanette asked. If you had a property you were looking at, you could do this. Watch. Country, property, Auburn, California. See if I can find like an address. Come on. Let me find one. There it is. Homes for sale. Homes for sale. Upper Valley Road. Internet's slow, but I just want to get this address. We're going to see if this one is eligible for USDA. And I can tell you, knowing what I know about Auburn, California, it is more than likely going to be eligible. So you just put this address in here and go. This address is located in an eligible area. So if you want to buy this property up in Auburn, beautiful property, you could use a USDA loan, and it's a government loan. It's got a little mortgage insurance premium attached to it, but you can get 100% financing. The thing that I would warn, because I'm native California and I know some of these areas, is if you're buying something that's rural, that's going to be USDA eligible, you're probably going to have a high fire area because it's out there in the country. There's not a fire station within a certain amount of distance, and so you might pay $8,000 or $10,000 a year in fire insurance. Okay, in case anyone was wondering, All-Nighter Hider is here. We can officially start now. We were just warming up, but now we're officially started because All-Nighter Hider is here. So you missed the best analogy earlier, All-Nighter Hider. You'll have to watch it back later, but basically you're hoping in one hand and you're defecating in the other, and you're seeing which one fills up first. You'll have to go back and check that out for yourself. But pros, cons, like I told you guys, I'm answering every question. Not going to miss any. I'm going to go up and down. I'm going to find every question that's here. Even if you're talking bad about me, I'm still going to answer your questions. There was somebody on here that used to somewhat troll, and I don't think that I gave him the reaction he wanted. I answered his questions, and so he gone. But I'm going to answer all the questions. Are you seeing refinance or purchase apps? Pros, cons. I'm seeing mostly purchase apps still. There are some refinance applications coming through. You know, if you got a loan 4, 6, 8, 10 months ago and you're in the 7s, there might be refinance opportunity, but this is a good opportunity for me to perhaps lay down some wisdom. If you're in a position where you're looking to refinance and you don't have the immediate need to refinance, if I was a betting man, rates will be lower in 3 to 6 months from now. Meaning you might not want to do it now. You might want to wait. And I had this conversation earlier. I saw it in 2019, 20, 21, where some people went from 6% to 4.5% to 3%. In that case, I think it probably made sense, right? Where the rates went down 1.5%, they were going to save $380 a month. It was going to break even in 6 months on the cost of the title fees and whatnot. And then 9 months, 12 months, 15 months later, They refinanced again because at 3%, they saved another $350 a month. And that was going to be something they were for sure going to stay in for more than the 8 months break even it took for them. But, you know, you don't necessarily want to go 7.25%, 6.5%, 5.75%. Maybe. If you got $1 million loan and 0.75% is going to save you $7,500 a year or $600 plus a month, the fees that get baked in, you might break even in 3 to 4 months. So it might be worth it. But make sure you're talking to somebody who you like and trust, which do I have a guy? Do I have a guy? Why are we not running this ticker along the bottom, man? GreatMortgageBroker.com. It's that easy. I've got people across the country. If you fill out the form at GreatMortgageBroker.com, no matter what state you're in, I'm going to connect you with somebody. If they're not phenomenal, if they don't serve you at a high level, come holler at your boy. Come say, Matt, I talked to Adam West, or I talked to Sam Fulton, or I talked to Bo Chase. I talked to Connor Wilson. That wasn't my cup of tea. I'll coach them up. They'll get better. We'll make sure that we do right by you. Even the 2 states, I'm in 48 states, the 2 states, New York and Massachusetts, those 2 states I'm not in, I'm so passionate about you getting great advice and great advice that leads to great mortgage decisions that even in the states I'm not in, I refer you to somebody and I follow up and I say, listen, bro, these people like me. They trust me. I spent a decade building this. You better not screw this up. Had a conversation recently and it was great because I actually got great feedback from my New York referral partner that said, listen, Matt, like for this type of project this guy had, what was it? Like some special kind of condo. He couldn't do a HELOC. He's like, well, Matt said that it probably makes more sense to do a HELOC versus a cash out refinance. This person said, Matt, I agree, except for they can't do a HELOC with this specific kind of property. So his only option, if he wants cash, is cash out refinance. So anyhow, greatmortgagebroker.com, holler at me, and we will make sure you get taken care of. Okay, the USDA direct loan offers really low interest rates, low income. USDA guaranteed loan is for middle income and has a pretty average interest rate. No PMI with direct. Yeah, I mean, you've got to be very low income to qualify for that USDA direct loan. So quite honestly, it's tough, right? To make 50% of the median income or whatever it is qualify for that, like you probably wouldn't qualify to buy. But that USDA guaranteed loan like is a good one as well. And you know, the 0.5% or whatever the mortgage insurance is not bad. You know, on a $300,000 or $400,000 house can be $100 or $200. And you can do it 100% financing. So it's a great product for those who qualify. There's income limits, and there's also going to be, you know, relatively restrictive debt to income ratio. So you got to qualify more strict than some others. So just to keep you aware of that. This is a good question, all night hire. See, this is why we just start when you get here. You got some good questions. Have applicants been more ambitious or desperate to purchase? Now, I got to kind of guess what exactly you're getting to here. But I think there's people that are kind of in this place where they know they want to buy. And maybe they started the process 6 months ago or a year ago, and all their excitement kind of got a big wet blanket thrown on it. Me being like, listen, I know you want to buy it for $700,000 and that's the house you want. You only qualify for $550,000, and at $550,000 with the down payment you've got, your payment's $4,400 a month. And so it kind of was like, man, they thought they were going to buy a $700,000 house and pay $3,000 a month. They only qualify for $550,000 and it's $4,400 a month. That quite honestly, because I was involved in these conversations, it hurt consumer spirit, for lack of a better term. And I think what I've seen all nighter hider is those people that really are in a position where the second kid is on the way and they know, like, there's some people that you can tell me whatever metric you want about affordability, whatever metric you want about, the state of real estate, and a 38-year-old couple who's got kid number 2 on the way, who lives in a 790 square foot apartment, like, they're not going to rent forever. They want to buy. And so if it means having dual income, making sure all the debt's paid off, making sure that they move to a place that's 1 block over from their mother-in-law that can watch their kids, they are going to make it happen. And with rates coming down and more people coming back to the market, more of those people who are like, man, it's a struggle at 8% at $4,400 a month, but I'm going to make it happen at 6.625 at $3,800 a month. Those people are back in the market. That's what I see from my lens. Jay Homeboy, thanks for joining. I appreciate you. Those with the 2-1 buy down, when should they refinance? $600K loan, 7.5 rate, 5.5, then 6.5. Rates will not be under 5.5 for your first year. I'll give you that. If you're telling me your scenario is today and you just bought a house and you've got 5.5, 6.5, 7.5, I will be shocked if in less than 12 months we're under 5.5. Maybe we are, but it's a great question, because there's some people that might tell you, hey, if in 9 months we're at 6.25, you might want to refinance that 6.25 30-year fixed before adjust to 6.5. And lock that in forever, right? Because if you don't, and rates can like go the other way, and then you're 6.5 to 7.5. I think that it's safe to say in your position, you wait it out. You see what the Fed does all of 2024, because already 5 to 7 rate cuts projected. When volatility comes down, the spread between the 10-year treasury, which, what is it at today? 3.9 or something. That and the 30-year fix, that's going to come down. We're going to, let me see. Am I talking madness, or I know what I'm talking about? 10-year note. That's even come down a little bit, right? The spread between the 10-year and the 30-year fixed is got to be like 260 now. It was up to 3% for a hot minute. 394. And 30-year fixed at what? 6.5. So yeah, we're talking 260. Wait and see, baby. I think that's the best advice I can give you. Wait and see. I don't think it's bullish for housing with interest rates coming down. There will be more house on the market. I partly agree with you, Eccentric. And it's going to be great if we see more inventory, and we will at 6.5, at 6.25, at 6%. There will be incremental supply that comes onto the market where people are like, you know what? I really want to upgrade. I've got a 4.25, and I didn't want to sell at 4.25 and get into a new mortgage at 7.25, but 4.25 to 6, I can do that, right? Less than 2% difference on my new mortgage. I'm going to take that upgrade. I'm going to list this house. I'm going to move forward. And so I think that you're mostly right in that there's like not going to be this crazy 15, 20% appreciation where like there's nothing for sale. There's a ton of buyers, nobody's listing, and things are going crazy. I think that somewhere between that and your current, it'll be flat, is going to be the case, right? I think we'll probably see 5 to 10% home price appreciation next year if things kind of go how they seem to be going, where Sure, a few more listings will come on as rates come down, but more buyer demand, more demand gets added than supply when rates come down. And it's tough to gauge the magic number where you unlock meaningful supply, but I think it's probably in the low fives before meaningful supply comes off. But I hope it's true. I hope that we get a ton of new supply. I hope that, there's so much supply and there's so much demand that it levels out and we just have a flat housing market and we have 5.5 million transactions, as opposed to, the 4 million or whatever number we saw this year. Was it 4.3? Anyhow, all nighter hider going hands full. Yeah, core CPI is coming down. We know that. So, 75% of the time was in a recession. The other 25 was war. So one of two things can happen. It can be the fifth time that the Fed cuts rates with core CPI is greater than 3.9, or core CPI goes below 3.9, and then they start the cuts. I guess we gonna see. All right. I have a question. Jason Garcia, I have answers. If my current home is on the market for rent, not in pending status, can I still apply for a new primary residence mortgage? So you're currently living in this house and you're marketing it for rent while you're looking for a new primary. Sure. I guess part of your question might be, can you use that rent? Do you need that rental income to qualify for the new primary? Because if you do, they're going to want a lease agreement. Oh, you in a hotel? Moved out, hotel, renting that place. Yeah. So if you need the income to qualify for the new place, they're going to want a lease agreement. So talk to your cousin about leasing the place. Hey, Max, great question. What would cause the spread between the 10-year and the 30-year mortgage to get back to the historical 1.5 to 2% range? So quick for everybody who might not understand what this means, because I think it's important. The 10-year treasury currently at 3.94%. Mortgage rates at 6.5%. That's about 2.6% difference. The 30-year fixed rate mortgage follows the 10-year treasury historically forever. And historically forever, it's like 1.8 to 2% difference. And people are like, man, if it was 1.8% difference, rates would be at 5.7% on a 30-year fixed. Why is it higher? I talked to smart people at big hedge funds, at places that follow and they're tracking mortgage payoff speeds and a bunch of stuff, right? They said it's all to do with volatility. So when there's more volatility, and there's actually a metric they track called vol. Stands for volatility. Pretty cool, huh? More volatility, the bigger the spread. So as volatility comes down, as we become more and more certain about the direction of rates, what the Fed is going to do, and there's less doubt on what way Powell is going to be swinging his hammer, that will come down. And so if you were somebody who was thinking rates are going to come down and volatility is going to come down, it doesn't take a lot, on the 10-year treasury, 3.5, 3.25, and then that spread comes down to 2, then you're talking low fives for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. And I think that can very well happen. I don't know if it's going to be 12 months from now or 18, but sometime in the next 18 months, we're probably going to see 30-year fixed rate mortgage in the low fives. If inflation continues to trend the way it's trending, if volatility comes down. So it'll be interesting to see what that does with mortgage rates and then how that affects real estate. I might as well keep renting at this point, right? And just keep waiting to see what happens with the market. Was there a first comment to this one? I mean, I feel you, that Bravo guy. The problem with it is like I talked to people in 2014 that said this, and they bought in 2019, and they would have given anything to go back to 2014. And so I think my question would be, what are you waiting for? Right? There's no magic time in the market where I can tell you, yeah, like wait long enough, prices will come down 30% and rates will be at 4.5. It'll be a great time to buy. That just won't happen. And so my advice I always give is buy when it's the right time for you. Are you in a good place financially? Do you have job security? Do you have money in the bank? You know, do you feel good about where your credit score is at, where your current debt load is at? Have you got mortgage, student loans that you want to pay off? Do you have credit card debt that you want to get rid of? Do you have, 5-10% down plus an emergency fund? Those are the questions. Don't worry about the market. The market is going to do its thing. If you're talking about a primary residence that you're going to live in for decades, please do whatever you can to not listen to every bozo that gives you real estate advice, and just buy when it's right for you and your financial situation. That's my best piece of advice. James Welsh, would you ever buy a small multi-rental if it breaks even? My market is at all-time highs. Really tough to see any cash flow on anything. Love to hear your opinion about cash flow minimums. Thanks. All right. This is the last question I'm going to answer. Then we get out of here. It's a great question, James. And quite honestly, it's a personal preference thing. I know a ton of investors in California specific, Northern California specific. I literally had this conversation with one of my smartest and best real estate investor / realtor partners who works with a ton of investors who happen to think break even real estate in California is amazing for building wealth. If they can see 2.5% rent growth year on year, if they can see 4% appreciation year on year, if they can see the debt pay down on those things year on year, they could become multimillionaires without ever seeing a cent of cash flow. Now, it takes a specific person, because if you're a Google engineer and you make $600,000 a year and you're putting 25% down and you're going to buy 10 rentals over the next 5 years, and those 10 rentals are going to be $5 million worth of real estate, you could become very, very, very wealthy and never have a penny of cash flow. And if you think about it, if you're a Google engineer who makes $600,000 a year, is $150 in cash flow or even $300 or $400 a month in cash flow going to really change your life? Is it really going to matter? The answer is no. The answer is not even close. And so, as a way of accumulating wealth, and again, there's different camps on this. I think that like David Green and Bigger Pockets did a good job kind of talking about building the wealth and the equity first and then going after cash flow during a different phase in life when you're trying to retire and live off of cash flow. I'm in that camp. I own real estate in California, and I much prefer adding 6 and 7 figures of equity over the next couple decades and debt pay down and rent increases and all the other stuff than I do saying I bought 4 houses in Alabama that each cash flow $300 a month, and now I've got $1,200 a month in cash flow. I'll end with this too, because I think it's pertinent, James, I did this little calculator for somebody who was buying in Tennessee. Now, this is Tennessee, where it's not even close to California numbers. Son of a gun. Get back to sheet 1. There we go. $225 purchase price, 25% down, $1,350 payment. This is based on 7.5%, $1,900 rents. Even if these things, on paper break even, I'm using 75% of the rents as like the net income, property management, vacancy, capital expenditures, all that stuff, right? This portfolio of 10 homes isn't producing a lot of cash flow, but even if you saw 4%, I think I did these calculations 4% a year, 4% appreciation over a 30-year period, this $2.3 million in real estate turns into $6.2 million in real estate. The 19.5 in rents, I use 2.5% a year in rent increases, which is probably a national average. Those rents turn into $36,000 a month. And, you got capital expenditures, you're paying a property manager to manage them, all that stuff, $27,000. Your mortgages are paid off by this point. Maybe you have taxes and insurance on all 10 properties of, I don't know. What's a $300,000 property in Tennessee? Let's be conservative. Let's call it like $5,000 total. You're still almost, $22,000, $250,000 a year. I could live off that. Anyhow, this is $225,000 properties. Imagine if they were $500,000 or $600,000 properties. These numbers would be astronomical. So there might be a case for buying and holding real estate and not worrying about cash flow. That's what buy and hold investors might say, James. But everybody's got different goals. So that's just one example. George Gammon for an in-depth answer on the yield curve inversion. All right, all-nighter hider. I'll check it out. Final thoughts. Don't listen to the Crash Bros. Thanks for joining, guys. Any and all questions, fire away. I appreciate you. Thanks for the great question, James. That's how I was able to provide an answer that hopefully was helpful. Every Monday at 3 p.m. Next Monday is Christmas. You will not catch me next Monday. The Monday after that, which is New Year's Day, I might be here January 1st. I can't think of a better place to be. I'll celebrate New Year's Eve with the family. I'll sleep in probably, and then I'll get my day started by educating folks on mortgage and real estate. Sounds like a good start to the year for me. So thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Till next time, greatmortgagebroker.com. That's how you connect with the team. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.